In this video, I'm going to show you step by step on how to create renders like these using the new SketchUp Diffusion plugin, which is a generative AI plugin built in for SketchUp. Let's go. Alright, so the first step is to install the plugin. So let's go to Extensions, Extension Warehouse, and let's search for Diffusion, or in most cases, you will find the Diffusion plugin here in the home page. So let's open SketchUp Diffusion and let's click on Install to install the plugin. So once you've installed the plugin, you can go to View, Toolbars, and you will find Diffusion here. So just switch this on and it will show up as a single icon on SketchUp. Alright. So I'm going to approach this video as an architecture student. So you would ideally start with the conceptual stage. So we have a simple model here with some contours and also our house right in the middle of the site. If you'd like to follow along with the same model, you'll find the link in the description to download this model. Alright, so let's open Diffusion. So let's click on this icon here to open Diffusion up. So you can see it's a very simple UI. We have the prompt text right on top. We also have some styles that you can play around with. And then we have settings, which is just two main settings, which is respect model geometry and prompt influence. Now what this actually means is that if you'd like to see more of the model as it is, then you would ideally increase this value all the way to the right. And if you'd like to see more of the influence of the prompt on the model, then you can increase the prompt influence to the right as well. But we will play around with the default settings first and then change these settings later. So the first step is to go to your scene here. And then you can click on Refresh Input View. So this will refresh the input view in your model. And then you need to click on Generate. So before you click on Generate, you can see there is no prompt setup. So if you're running short on time and if you do not have ideas on prompt, you can also use SketchUp styles. So I'm going to start off with the conceptual stage, which is our physical model. So let's click on physical model here. And I'm going to use this scene here and click on Generate. Alright, so it generates about 3 images and you can open each of them by just clicking on it. And it's also a good idea to save these renders out, because each time you close Diffusion and open it again, then these renders would get lost. So I'm going to save these out. So these were the renders which we just saved out. Now you can see that it doesn't actually show the model, the house model on top, and that is because the prompt influence was set a bit too high. So let's decrease the prompt influence and see if it improves the render. We can also increase the respect model geometry so I can see more of the existing site and the house as well. I'm going to click on Generate again. Alright, so these renders look much better. Alright, so I'm going to save these renders out as well. So just select them here and then click on Save. Alright, so now you can see that it's improved the model quite a lot. We can see more of the form of our design, which is what we need. And this is perfect for our starting conceptual stage. Now, of course, this is sort of zoomed out and that is why you cannot see more of the model. So let's try creating a render of a more closed up shot. So I'm going to click on Close Up Model Shot Scene. And I'm going to use the same render settings and click on Generate. Alright, so now you can see that when I clicked on Generate, it sort of created the render for the previous scene. So it's very important that you click on Refresh Input View before you click on Generate. I'm going to click on Refresh Input View, which means it will add the new scene into the UI, and then click on Generate. Alright, so you can see we have some very cool looking renders. I'm going to save these out as well. And you can see the model better in this scene. You can see some of the contours are not respected correctly. So what we can do is increase the prompt a bit more. So maybe 1.5. And I'm going to reduce the prompt influence all the way to the bottom. It will still create a physical model because we can see the prompt influence at the bottom set about 5. I'm going to click on Generate here. So now you can see that this respects the contour of the site better. I'm going to save these out as well. So it's sort of better from the previous render. So you can play around with the different settings And what works for you, you can use for your projects as well. Alright, so we're done with the conceptual stage, and now let's create some renderings which we can propose to our clients. So let's go to 3D view here. So you can see this is a simple site in the background, and then we have our house here as well. So what we can do now is change this to exterior photorealistic rendering, ideal for outdoor architecture. And let's bring this back, which is respect model geometry. I would like to have some changes in the design. I'd like to see what AI generates for me. I'm going to keep prompt influence in the middle as well. So this generally works best in case you want to create different iterations for your model. Also, don't forget to click on refresh input view to update the scene in your UI. And it's also a good idea to add a prompt to give the AI a better idea of where this model is located and to give more context to the site as well. Alright, so I've created a prompt from my previous model, which I'm going to use here as well. So it's a very basic prompt. We can of course add to it as and when we improve the model. So it's written as lush vegetation all around, hilltop background, rubber tree plantation in the background, and sloping down site. So this is actually a site in Kerala in India, and that is why I've created this prompt. So let's click on generate and let's see what it creates. Alright, so as you can see, we have some very cool looking renders. I'm going to save these out. And we have very good looking results as well. I especially like second render, which actually feels pretty realistic. And I'm happy with this result as well. By the way, if you don't see the other options, you can simply drag the UI down and then you can see the other options as well. Now what I would like to do is actually make some changes to my model, and you can do that as well. So just select the new render here and then click on add scene. So what this would do is it would overlay the render on top of your model, and this would be in the match photo option. So you can actually go ahead and make changes to your model based on the new design. So you can do the same for the others as well. Now, for example, if you like this design, just select it and click on add scene. So this would overlay the render on top of your model in the exact perspective, and then you can go ahead and sort of model the site and a lot more. You can of course use match photo on SketchUp as well and model this entire image from scratch too. Now if you're more artistic in nature, you can also test out the other styles. So I'm going to test out, for example, illustration, and let's click on generate here. And we have some cool looking illustrative renders of our model as well. Alright, so to close, I will open an interior model and test out the interior settings in SketchUp Diffusion as well. So let's do that quickly. Alright, so we have a very simple interior shot. Now this is from the complete SketchUp and V-Ray course for interior design, where I will show you step by step on how to create photorealistic renders with V-Ray. But let's see what AI has to offer with the existing Chaos Cosmos models and more. So let's open Diffusion again. Let's change the style to interior photorealistic rendering. Let's add a prompt as well. Alright, so this is a very simple prompt. So let's see what it creates. Again, make sure you just go to settings and you keep the settings at the default in the start. And as you keep generating, you can play around with the settings here. Now again, to repeat, respect model geometry means more of the models in the scene will be respected and be shown in the render. So if you reduce this all the way to the down, you'll have a different design. So let's see what happens when you reduce respect model geometry. I'm going to keep prompt influence in between because I would like to have some influence of the prompt on the render, and let's click on generate. So now you can see we have a very different looking interior render, and that is because we've reduced the respect model geometry. So I'm going to increase this to the right and keep it about in the middle, and let's click on generate again. So if you'd like to have a different design from what you have in your space, you can reduce the respect model geometry to the left. So now you can see we have more of what our existing model is. And let's save this out and see how this render looks. Alright, as you can see, we have 3 different results. And the first render is not quite what I'm looking for because it sort of created a window here rather than a painting. But if you go to the right, you can see that it creates an amazing looking render right off the bat using generative AI rendering. So I hope you found this video useful. Please do test out SketchUp Diffusion and let me know in the comments how this is going to change the way you design in your practice or how you provide services as well. This is just the first version of Diffusion and there's a lot more to come. I can't wait to show you guys the new features and more in the future. Please do like and subscribe and do check out my courses as well if you'd like to learn how to use SketchUp, V-Ray, layout and of course also AI rendering now in my courses. I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.